how is it that you want that done, so that they can just articulate to the worker, this is how I want this to be done. And the great thing about that program is it's very flexible. The state isn't overseeing them, telling them, don't feed them this way, or don't hand them their medicines. Believe me, we have so many ridiculous rules that govern some of our services that actually talk about how you can feed somebody, that you can't put a medicine in their mouth, just all kinds of little limitations and cubby holes that we put people into. Programs like Personal Care Attendant are much more family-oriented and family-like, and that's the model that we need to go for, is an informal family caregiver, because that's where most of our care is provided anyway in this country, by family members who are just doing it because they want to keep their loved one at home.
Well, that's a great alternative too.
Yeah.
I would prefer to see that.
It's part of most of the care that we provide. Without the family members, it wouldn't hold together.
I think you need a menu of services, because as great as that program is, it puts a lot of onus and responsibility on the older person and or the family members. And there are certain instances where a family member, or there may not be family members available to help out in terms of overseeing that, or the older person may simply choose not to want to get down to that level of hiring and managing their own worker. And so we have what I would call the other traditional system, where you come through an agency like Mystic Valley, and we use paid caregivers who are coming through agencies. And one, in my opinion, is not necessarily better than the other. It's sort of, I guess, I used to use the analogy of the gas station, where you could go pull up to either the full service pump or the self-service pump. Now, we don't have much full service anymore, but if you wanted, for those of us who remember that, you could go to the full service pump and pay a couple of pennies more and get the gas pumped and windshield washed. Or you could go and save a little bit of money and pump it yourself. One was not necessarily better than the other. Sometimes it worked, in different circumstances. And I think that's what we want to do, is to provide, again, different options, quality. All of it has to be quality. We don't want to provide a two-tiered system of poor quality care for some and good quality care for others. What we want to provide is a series of good quality care options, and sometimes that can be where the person is hiring, directing their own worker, or under other circumstances where you're going through an agency and somebody is taking care of the management of the care and you're the recipient. So I think, again, in whatever we do, we always want to make certain that we're giving people not only choices, but we're giving them good quality choices.
Absolutely.
Not a choice between good and poor.
No.
That's not a choice.
No, that is not a choice. I have one question that I've had asked of me, and that is, when a person is at home and receiving a care, through your services, how can you be sure that the people who are coming into your home are not going to pick up things that they shouldn't touch, or walk off with valuables, and how do you protect your things in your home that are valuable to you? May not have a monetary value, but certainly are important to you, and these are things you've accumulated over a lifetime, perhaps pieces of jewelry and so forth. How do you protect against that sort of thing?
Well, I'll take a shot at this one. It's a very serious issue, and there's probably nothing in life that's more personal than when a person comes into your home and is taking care of your personal needs. So we're talking about the most sensitive interpersonal relations. And the truth of the matter is, I'd like to be able to tell you that we can guarantee that nothing ill towards would ever happen, but we're dealing with human beings. So there is always a certain amount of risk. Now, having said that, agencies like mine and other agencies in the state, as well as the agencies that hire homemakers, and then even if you're hiring your own worker, you have to interview people, find out about their background. We all do criminal background checks on people.
Yes.
People are bonded, they're trained, they're supervised. So that really what we're trying to do, number one, is to hire a good quality person. You want to hire people who have good character, number one. You want to hire people who are caring, who you get a sense that they care about the people. It's more than just a job. It's something that people aspire to and have a good feeling that they're helping another human being.
Sure.
And then you want to be clear and direct with them about what the expectations are, what the supervision is, and what the consequences are if they misbehave, if you will.
Sure.
Now, having said all that, again, I can't guarantee you that in every single interpersonal human interaction, there's never going to be a problem.
Sure.
But knock on this nice wood table, in 35 years, we've had very, very few problems.
Sure.
But you are going to encounter problems when you're dealing with human beings.
Sure.
So I would say, in summary, we try to do our best to bring people to your home that are of good character. I would say from an older person standpoint in the family is don't leave money out laying around.
No.
You know, you don't have to put every single picture or piece of jewelry away, but use common sense.
Sure.
And if there is a problem, let an agency like mine know immediately. One of the sad things is, and if something is missing, immediately the person coming into the home is accused of stealing it. What we find in 9 out of 10 cases, and I've done this myself, so it's not a knock on older people, is I put it somewhere and I can't find it. But that doesn't mean don't report it. Say, I'm missing something, a piece of jewelry, and then we go and see if we can find it. If we can't, then we're going to follow up, and if it comes right down to it, we'll prosecute through the criminal justice system.
The other thing is that to keep in mind for older folks is that the people who work for Mystic Valley, for example, and the other ASAPs, Aging Services Access Points, they're called care managers. And their job is to go into the home and figure out what you need and then buy it for you. Mm-hmm. But they don't work for the same agency as the homemaker who comes into your home. So for example, if an elder is unhappy with their homemaker, they don't like them, they don't relate well together, they call their care manager and say to the care manager, this just isn't working and I want another person. The care manager will do that because they don't have any financial tie to the person who's in their home. So it's not an insult to the care manager. They're not accusing the care manager of anything. The care manager's job is to advocate for the elder.
Right.
Sure.
So they're perfectly happy to say, look, if this isn't working out, I will find you another person. So it's important to see the distinction because some people will call me and say, I'm very happy with my girl, but they don't know who my girl works for. And it turns out it's not the same agency as the care manager. So it's important for the family and the elder to know who's coming into their home. They have been criminal checked to get into the home. And that the care manager is not the same as the homemaker and that they're different roles. And the care manager is there to make sure that the homemaker is doing the job that the senior wants to have done. So they have that protection. If they're really unhappy, they can file a complaint with something called the Community Care Ombudsman.
Sure.
So, there are protections for people.
Well, that's good to hear,
Right.
especially if people are bonded. Not that you want things stolen and
Exactly.
recover money,
Right. But again, I think I've seen coming back to the same issue. Make the phone call. Because again, sometimes people, as Al said, they may think, well, what's the point? I'm reluctant. I don't want to get, quote, somebody in trouble. But if there's something bothering you as the person who is getting the care, you need to let your care manager know about that. Because most of the time we can resolve it satisfactorily. Everybody ends up happy. When it's the rare occurrence where there is a problem, we want to know about that because you, the person, the recipient, should not be exploited.
Sure.
Sally, every day in this state, there are 43 new reports of elder abuse. And do you know that most of them come from family or friends? So unfortunately, the unfortunate fact is that the most problems happen inside a family where people are not treating each other right. But the good news is that we have a program for that as well called Protective Services. So if anybody out there is suffering from any kind of financial exploitation, they think someone's taking money from them in the family, or physical abuse or mental abuse, people being denied care, or even someone who's not taking care of themselves, self-neglect. They're walking around the house very poorly dressed, the house isn't heated, there's no food in the refrigerator. Any of these kinds of things should be reported to the protective agency. And again, there's that 800 number to get you into the system. Those complaints, those reports will be investigated.
Sure.
And so we have protections in place for people who are suffering from abuse at the hands, sometimes unfortunately, of relatives or friends.
Well, I think it's good to hear that we have safe